longer greatness has finally returned. Kid Street Noise is back for the first time in 4 or 5 months. Our last recording.
Yeah, something like that.
The back end
I think
of May.
the end of season review. It feels like a very long time ago now, but here we are.
There is reasons for that. We've not just slacked off. Me and Lewis have both been really busy. I've been doing a bit like a video editing work for the Championship Chat podcast. Lewis has got a student placement down south. So if you want to tell us a bit more about what you've been doing down there, Lewis?
Yeah, so I started a 12-month placement at the end of August in a place called Hempstead, near London. With a company called A Live, and basically pretty much everyone listening or watching this will have seen what we do without actually knowing or thinking about it. But we work in sports TV broadcasting, and it's the scoreboard and all the stats involved with the coverage. We work in football. The only thing we don't do is football for Sky, but basically everything else for any other broadcaster, Sky Darts, Sky Cricket, TNT, everything basically. So that's what I've been doing. It's been pretty interesting. Doing some quite exciting things like going to Amsterdam and Dortmund to work on the Darts for ITV, and going to Wembley for the England-Australia game. That was a Channel 4 job. It's been good.
Yeah, so we have been super busy. Obviously, Lewis moving down south, it was acclimatisation for you and us as a family. And then obviously you've just been busy all over the world, haven't you? Like Dortmund, Amsterdam, Wales a couple of times. Obviously not as far as that, but it's just hard. Yeah. It's been hard to find the time to do the recordings in between everything else that we're doing as well. But hopefully this is the first podcast back, the first in like a definitely more frequency. I don't know if we'll be able to do the weekly ones like we did last season. Hopefully we will, but obviously it'll depend completely on the schedule. We did want to start the podcast back at the start of last season. I did a full episode with Jamie Thorburn, talking about gambling addiction when he was doing his podcast Behind the Bet. If anyone wants to listen to that on Spotify. We recorded a full episode, like an hour and a half in the King Edward, and then I got home and the audio was absolutely terrible, and I spent like 4 or 5 days trying to fix it, trying to bring back the audio to like a decent level, and it just wasn't working at all. It like knocked the stuffing out of me really, because it was like a really good episode, like a really natural, emotional chat between me and Jamie. It would have been good for everyone to listen to and hear, and then to get back, it was my own fault really. I should have tested the audio when I did it, but I didn't. I waited till I got home and had a look, and it was just stinking, and it just completely knocked the stuffing out of me. You'll have seen the new logo, you'll have seen the new intro by the time you see this. So yeah, put a bit of work into that. We wanted to didn't really want to rush it and give like not as good as an experience as it could be. So I probably spent too long doing the intro. A lot of procrastination, a lot of distractions. But yeah, that's the reason why we haven't been as active as we want to be. Obviously, with Lewis moving down south, we both don't have a season ticket this year. Lewis, for obvious reasons, not doing the travel. And then obviously working on match days, like sometimes work Saturdays and weekends, don't you, as well? So it just doesn't fit around your current schedule.
Yeah, I mean, my schedule's like different every week. It's like sports on all the time, especially this time of year. The chart for all of us is looking pretty packed. I knew it was going to be like that when I kind of season ticket. But I've been to like quite a few home games, and I went to Watford away when I first came down here. So yeah.
One benefit is obviously like the London away games are local to you, more or less, aren't they? You'll be going to Chelsea tomorrow night.
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow night.
Yeah. So I didn't get a season ticket. I felt like with all the pushing that I certainly do as like my half of the podcast about how much it costs us follow Rovers and like the season ticket prices, I felt it'd be very hypocritical of me to pay the price and carry on going. I feel a bit like it's not about it being affordable for me, it's about it being affordable for everyone, and I don't feel like it will be until the majority of people that are stretching themselves or can afford it and still paying for it stop going. So yeah, it's just, I mean, I have been fortunate enough to like have people offer me spare tickets, and I've been to a few home games still, but so even I'm probably outing myself as a hypocrite there because I'm going on the free, but I just feel like there's so much to do in terms of making the fan experience better as a club. And I said before we started recording this interview that I wouldn't get into negatives. Like, this is the first one back for ages. Let's just be positive. But yeah, I feel like with the media we've got as podcast hosts, like we should be focusing on making the fan experience better for everyone, not just for ourselves. So that's the intro / update, what we've been doing, why we've not been as active as possible. Let's get into the football. So, how many games are we in now? 13 games in? 14 games in?
I think so, yeah. 14, I think. What
have you thought of the start so far?
I think from what we found out in the summer about the budgets having to be cut, and the team wasn't strengthened. I mean, you could argue that it wasn't strengthened. I was going to say it wasn't strengthened as much as we like, but I don't think we have strengthened. We are weaker this season than we were last season. We've got a very inexperienced side, especially in the forward areas, and it is costing us, but I do think we're growing as a team. I think you saw that in that run of 3 wins that we've had over the last few weeks. But so far, I probably say I'm content, but I'm not. It's just not really overwhelming, or it's what.
It's just like a bit meh.
It's not that. That's how I'd describe it anyway.
I think our first 11 is stronger than it was last year, but I feel like our depth is really, really poor. Like, obviously Hyam's injured now. Smodic is going to miss tomorrow night. Carter is banned tomorrow night? Is it tomorrow night? Is it going to Sunday's game?
I'm not sure, actually.
But I think if you take 1 or 2 key players out, we look really, really weak. And we've seen it with Hedges, and Hedges probably wasn't in our strongest 11 last season. Now this season he is, and we're missing him massively. I feel like going back to the Swansea game was like the most recent example. I went to the Swansea game and I don't remember one forward player beating a fullback and getting a crossing or just taking someone on. And I watched their wingers. Liam Cullen, he's cutting inside, he's going out on the outside, beating his man, cutting back, getting a crossing, obviously cuts inside and scores the winner essentially. Jamal Law just tore James Hill a new backside who just absolutely dominated him, just so quick and direct. And then I looked at the stats after the game, and our wingers, which were Sigurdsson and Dolan, Dolan was like in the number 9 position, like false 9. But Sigurdsson didn't have one completed dribble. Who played on the right? Or it was Britton. So Britton didn't have any dribbles. Or he had like 3 dribbles, but none of them completed. So he just tried to take someone on and failed. And I feel like we're constantly having to play 11 versus 11. I don't feel like you're going to create chances like that. It's not until you beat a man, drag someone out of position, that you create them sort of chances. And we don't do it often enough. We're relying on 1-2 touch football to create space in behind. And although it looks good and looks great, there are other ways to open teams up, and I don't think we're taking advantage of it. I thought Dolan was that kind of player that'll do a step over and beat a man, or even Markande. I was impressed with him in the cup game. I thought he was direct and cut inside, creating chances, but every time he's coming in the league, I don't know what it's JDT's instructions, the player's confidence, I'm not sure, but when I watched how good Swansea's attacking 3 were, it almost puts into perspective that I think at that end of the pitch, we're miles away.
Yeah, I think with Sigurdsson, it felt like in the summer he was like almost like high profile signing, and everyone was kind of looking forward to him being fit and being available to play, and whilst putting a quality performance away at QPR. Since then, it's kind of gone missing a bit. Like, I wasn't at the game on Saturday, but the game against Cardiff at Ewood, it was like really quiet. Went off after about an hour, 65 minutes, something like that. So, there's question marks over him, whether he's going to be as effective as we want and need him to be, really. Because with how experienced he is, he's played Champions League football, so we need him to do a similar job to Smodics almost, as to kind of guide. Obviously, to contribute to the goals, but also guide like the younger attacking players and help them develop. But is it going to be consistent?
Yeah. I watched him on Saturday. Don't want to say he don't look interesting, because I don't think he's 100% fit yet. I think the schedule's taking it out of him. 2 games a week probably isn't what he's used to. Especially like at that intensity as well. It's usually higher up the goal. The pace of the game is slower. I think that the Championship might have caught him by surprise. He's still not fit. He had a couple of injuries. I don't think the rest of the team are getting the most out of him in terms of how they're playing in the ball. Smodic seems to be like running into his channel and taking away his space. Like there's a couple of times where he was 1-on-1 with a fullback and you just want him to beat him, and then Smodic is running into the space and almost forced him to either go back inside or pass the ball to Smodic. And I just think it's very predictable and very easy to defend against in a way. You almost know what's going to happen because of the spaces that we're taking up. I'm just going to go back to the results that we've obviously not spoke about, because I'm actually not going to go through the wins. I'm going to go through the losses, because I think if you look at the losses we've had in the league, they're almost teams you not expect to get beat by, because I think in the Championship you can beat anyone, but the 2-1 defeat to Hull at home, the red card explains it. The other red card kills the game. And I still thought we were competitive for the majority of it.
Yeah.
Obviously, Aaron Connolly comes on, gets 2 great goals. But I think did Gallagher hit the post like at 1-0?
Ennis were in it.
Yeah. That is a bit of luck. Plymouth away got beat 3-0. We had the Hedges chance inside the first minute that it goes in a completely different game. I think a lot of teams will struggle going to Plymouth, especially for us. It's like 7.5 hours drive away. We got beat 3-1 at home to Sunderland. again, that was a night of missed chances. We had, I can't remember who, but there was a couple from inside the 6-yard box where we almost came away thinking, how have we not scored there? And then Sunderland will be up there as well. They'll be competing. Jack Clark's having like the season of his life. And he proved that at Ewood that night. We lost away at Ipswich 4-3. Ipswich are flying, second in the table. They're going to score a lot of goals. I mean, they concede quite a few as well, but realistically, do I expect us to go to Ipswich and get something? If you'd have asked me then, I'd probably take a draw, but given the results they've got the rest of the season, I'm happy we competed going down there rather than just throwing the towel in. 4-1 at home to Leicester. Leicester will do that to a lot of teams this season. A bit of sloppy goals to give away, but they've got the quality. They've got the team is just ridiculous. Harry Winks and Didi, Jamie Vardy just should be playing at this level. Coventry 1, Blackburn 0. That was probably the most disappointing loss. I thought we were the better team on the night. James Hill hit the bar. Again, lots of missed chances. And then they score the rebound late on to win the game. And I just felt like it was one of them nights where after every 2 or 3 chances you miss, you thought it's going to be one of those Blackburn Rovers nights where you don't get the result you should be getting. And then obviously Saturday's game against Swansea, we get beat 1-0. And again, although we weren't great going forward, I don't think we deserve to lose either. I think the goal's a bit of individual quality, and they had a couple of disallowed goals, but I feel like we had just as many chances as them. It's probably just an even game. We were just two evenly matched teams in the Championship. But I think if anyone had won it 1-0, no one would have had any complaints, really. Is that a fair reflection of the season so far, would you say?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, quite a few of those games we've been working for, and I haven't been at Ewood, so probably can't give us. I just haven't watched them, so I can't probably give us further reflection as you can give. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm not disappointed by the way we've played at all. I'm just disappointed at how much it's changed between like the end of last season. Like, what happened then? Like, how we dropped off, and then what's happening in the summer. And it's like it actually felt, say, like you go back to the start of this year. I just felt like we were getting somewhere on the JDT, and like, if it weren't this season, if it weren't last season, sorry, it'd be this season that would be challenging. And now it's like, I don't know, it just feels very different all of a sudden. Like it's going to be, a lot longer and a lot more arduous, really, a lot tougher in terms of how we can strengthen and get better than we first thought, which that's what I'm disappointed with, really. I'm quite, like I said at the start, I'm quite content with like where we are in the league. When you consider all that.
Yeah, I think with the early transfers as well, the ones we did in June, the Stigginson coming in, Ennis, I felt pretty optimistic. But then the rest of the summer was almost like our season last season, weren't it? It started great and midway through promising, and then it almost like fades away. It becomes disappointing in the end. I mean, they had the meeting, the press release halfway through, and said like the goals have changed. Our aim this season is to avoid relegation to League One. Well, that's not going to happen. I can put my house on it. We're not going down. We're too good to go down. There will be 3 worse teams than us in the Championship. There'll probably be a lot more than 3, but like I don't want to start naming it, because I did that last season with Huddersfield, saying they were down every week and they never actually went down. But I don't think we're in any danger of doing that. And looking at our upcoming fixtures, we do have a lot of winnable games, and it only takes 3 or 4 to lift them spirits. I just think I don't really know what the answer is, because it could be like you win 5 out of your next 10 and you get to January and you're 8th in the table and you're 4 points off playoffs and you can invest them, but can you really see us investing in January to better the squad? I mean, to have the amount of depth it would need to take to challenge for the playoffs, we'd have to sign 6-7 players.
Yeah.
It's not... I felt like...
It's not going to happen really in the predicament that we now find ourselves in, I don't think. Yeah, it's like people are saying like time and time again, to the point where it's almost like a bit of an echo chamber with Rovers, that we need a proven goal scorer, and like that's what I mean, it was highlighted towards the end of last season, where there were games where we'd comfortably be the better team, and the chances we did create just wouldn't be put away. I've seen that again, but the problem is, I suppose, that the Championship proven goal scorers at a premium, and we keep going back to it in the predicament, can't afford to pay that premium, or if you don't take that route, you've got to take a risk. I mean, Ennis might come good, but to me, I don't know, he never seems to be fully fit. It's not like the start of the season, and you can use that excuse of like not having a full pre-season anymore. I don't know what we're going to do there, really. There's obviously Leonard, we brought Talovic in from Germany, but big question marks over him. Leonard's still very young, still developing, and I think it would personally, it would be unfair to hang your hat on him and give that such a big responsibility to him when he's only just come up through the 23s. So that's the biggest problem.
I mean, he came on with, I think, half an hour, 20 minutes to go on Saturday, and he got 2 good chances. And people were like having a go at him on social media and coming out of the ground saying like, should have buried it, should have scored, whatever. I mean, if other strikers have had 60 minutes and we've not had a clear-cut chance, and he's coming on for half an hour and creating 2 who are getting the right positions, I would rather have someone having someone put on Twitter about him having 0.9 expected goals and he didn't score. That for me means you don't know how expected goals work. Expected goals is like a metric of a good striker. If you have high expected goals, that means that you are getting in the right positions to take the right shots on at the right time, and eventually they will go in. Like, I would rather have someone who scored 2 with an expected goals of 10 than someone who scored 5 and expected goals of 1, because that means they've been extremely lucky. They're not in the right positions. They're just scoring thunder bastards. And whereas like the guy who's got 10 expected goals, he's just missing them, and you can work on that. But he's in the right position at the right time, and then eventually, them chances will convert into goals. So I'm not as worried about Leonard. Talovic, the jury's definitely out on him. I don't think Swansea was the right game to bring him or Ennis on, because they're very good on the ball. The back four are very good in possession. We know how good Matt Grimes is on the ball. He's like in the Championship, just sweeper upper for years. And they're not the most athletic strikers to go and press the ball. So I don't think they're the right options to come on. I think maybe against the Millwall game midweek, or who do we play before that, QPR, where they're very much direct and the centre-backs don't like having the ball at the feet. Yeah, stick an Ennis, stick a Talovic on up front, and they don't really have to do as much pressing. They can just be there for the knockdowns when we eventually get the ball back. But I don't think Swansea was the right game for them. I don't think this Norwich game will be either on Sunday. So what else is to speak about? What else have we missed out on? New kits. Happy with all 3 new kits?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're all right, aren't they?
We'll go home first. Oh, actually, I'll let you rate them first. What's your first favourite, second favourite, third favourite out of the 3?
I think. No, I think the home's probably the best. But I mean, I don't know. That kind of says a lot about the way in thirds, the away kit and the third kit when the home, because like the home, you can't really. It is true. Say you can't really do. You can't really do much with it. There was a lot of people moaning about the colour, light blue. I mean, it's something. It's a way to like, differentiate it. It's really not.
It's either red or it's something new. Like, what do you want to do?
So, people are like, or just make it red and it looks perfect. And all this, I'm like, if you make it red, it looks like last season. So, yeah, it's a decent kit. It's a decent Rovers kit. We've definitely a lot worse. So yeah, I was like quite pleased with it, really. The away kit, yeah, I mean it's probably one of the best that we've had, I think. Definitely better than last season's. And the third kit, not a huge. At first, I was like, it's like very different. It's like kind of
striking.
Striking and like almost like a bit of a throwback to like the fluorescent. Can get words out. One that we had in the 90s with 97, 96, 97, I think. Do you remember that, like the lime green one?
Like the Rovers badges down the
shoulder. A bit like that, I suppose. Not a nice kit.
No. I mean, I feel like I can't really complain about the kits because when we said last season what do we want from a kit, I said I want a kit unique to us, so I didn't want any templates. And I wanted a sponsor that fit the shirt. So I was the home one with like the former Blackburn brick embossed into the design, and the Totally Wicked actually being like blue and white switched colours was what I asked for in a kit, like an actual sponsor design to the kit. And then they've done the same with the away kit with like the grey sponsor. I don't really see much of the third kit, so I don't know what the colour the sponsor is on that. You can't really see it with like the striky blue patterns anyway. Some of the kit releases, a bit disappointed with. I mean, we had the sell-out sweepstake for each shirt, and then people they were like going in like an hour and a half, or like a bit of. I think 2 of them were definitely before dinner time on the day it released. I don't really understand why, because like why do we not have the stock to begin? Like no other club seems to sell out of shirts. So why is it only happening to us? I don't really understand. We didn't have home shorts or home socks for months. It was all just a bit of a mess, really. But yeah, the kits are nice. I've not bought one, but if I was to buy one, that this season would be like one of my favourites for a long time. What else have we missed? What else is going on? Do we talk about VAR? Too early to talk about VAR?
Well, it's been some controversy, to say the least, over the last few weeks.
I mean, probably not the worst one, but I was infuriated watching the Scotland-Spain game when McTominay's free kick was disallowed for...
The goal that was disallowed for a push on the keeper. It's never a push on the keeper.
I mean, they could say it was offside. I don't think he's interacting with play. Infringement on the keeper. The keeper could have all the time. They could slow the ball down by half. I don't think the keeper's getting there. It's that well hit of a free kick. And the most annoying thing is, no one even appeals. The keeper doesn't say anything. The defenders don't say anything. But someone, somewhere, is looking at it thinking, I want to disallow this goal. I need to find a reason to disallow this goal. And I just think when you've got 4,000 Scotland fans going mad in the away end, why do these people want to spoil that fun? It almost like puts you off wanting to get promoted to the Prem, because you see some of the decisions we've had this year up there. It's just absolutely bonkers, and it's so like, I mean, the Liverpool one was probably the Liverpool Tottenham one where he's onside and they disallow it, and the comms came out. That was the day VAR should have been scrapped. Full stop.
I agree, to be honest. I really do. It was just watching that video. I thought it was like a parody. It's hard to actually take it seriously.
Good process, lads.
It was absolutely bizarre. Like it just seemed to me like it was just total lack of like concentration. They just weren't aware of what was actually going on. They didn't know. They thought that the goal had been given. Like they must have, because they thought the goal had been given because they were like checking. They were like checking for if it was offside, rather than thinking, rather than knowing, oh, it's been given offside in the field. It's going to be a free kick to Spurs unless we say it's a goal. Give the goal. So they didn't actually know what was happening. And that's the.
But for me, it's the thing afterwards, like as soon as you see Spurs centre back put the ball down to take a free kick, surely you're saying, whoa, and like people said, oh, they restarted the game and took the free kick. Well, the ref can stop it. The ref stops it for everything else. Can you not just say, hang on a second, lads, we're gonna let's rewind, let's think about this. I mean, I don't want it to take as long as they are taking. The Burnley decision at the weekend, I know it is Burnley, but that is the most. I think it's probably worse than the Diaz thing. It's took him 5.5 minutes to decide.
Yeah.
He's onside on one camera, he's offside on another. The Bournemouth fans are singing this is embarrassing when it's going to cost them 2 points if it's classed onside. They would rather Bournemouth would rather not win the game and than have to sit and wait 5 minutes for someone miles away to make a decision.
Yeah, I watched Match of the Day when I got back yesterday, and there was one shot where a green line had been drawn by VAR, suggesting that it was onside, and literally half of Rodriguez's foot was over the green line. I'm like, it's just a good job after what happened in the Diaz incident that they've not seen that green line and just thought, let's go.
Yeah, it's just honestly absolutely bonkers.
After that, you won't be too surprised if they'd have done something like that.
Yeah. I just find it mad. It's probably not.
Because it's a good job that they've noticed the mistake, but they're still making that mistake.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're speaking about it every week, but I don't feel like it's going to be the end of speaking about it. I feel like we're still going to be speaking about it every week to the end of the season. Is it ever going to? I don't think it's going to improve to the point that we're happy with it. So I don't know. I don't know what the end game is for them or what they're expecting. Any surprises so far in leagues or cups? Like, have you got anything prediction? We didn't really do well. What we were going to do was like the pre-season show. We'd obviously do like our predictions for certain leagues and our predictions for certain players. Probably. Are you surprised at how well Bellingham's done after he's moved to Madrid?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think anyone thought that it'd be a flop or anything or be underwhelming. But I mean, has anyone ever had a better start? Especially a young player moving to a big club like that. I don't think. I'm not sure I can think. I mean, Haaland, I suppose, going to City. But if Bellingham keeps these numbers up, he's going to be, he's going to have a season on that level, isn't he? That's what's going to happen. In terms of young players and possibly in terms of players in the world, like I think he's in a category of his own. I really think he's that good.
Yeah, I said in the group chat the other day, he's probably in like his own Ronaldo/Messi bracket at the minute.
Yeah.
Like when they dominated football, he's probably up there at the minute by himself. I don't really think there's anyone close to him. Probably the standout players in the Prem this season that are putting in, I wouldn't say similar performances because he's been almost like a number 10 for Madrid where he's just getting in the box and scoring. It's almost like Frank Lampard for Real Madrid. But Maddison has probably been my standout player in the Prem.
Mm.
I also like, I'm probably going to butcher his name, Dominic Szoboszlai for Liverpool.
Szoboszlai.
Yeah. Every time I watch him, he just gets better. And I just think he could be a top player for Liverpool for the next 5, 6, 7 years, however long he wants to stay there for.
Yeah. I suppose like go on.
I like City are still putting up the same performances. Bernardo Silva the other night against United was unbelievable, but you just run out of ways to describe. They're not surprising. Like they just tear teams apart. And I mean, I'm impressed with how well Doku's done since he's come in. I didn't think he would make the impact he has, but he has been a very good player.
It's almost like he's fit right into that mould of what kind of Guardiola wants his wingers to be, and like he's come straight in and just being that. Like, you think of like Sterling, like how good he is on his day, and like Son when he was at City, and all these like Silva, like the great wingers that they've had while he's been there, and he's kind of like he hasn't really needed any time to like settle in and fit into the City side. He's just got straight to it, and he looks a brilliant player. He really does.
Yeah.
And Bruno had a lash out at him. Not Bruno, sorry, Anthony. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just sent him off for that. I don't understand it. There's people saying, "Oh, he's just showing passion, just showing fight." There's different ways to show passion than just booting someone up in air. Like, I think the situation, obviously, Rebecca's mum's partner Sean is a United fan. I talked to her about it last night. I said it's the money that Ten Hag spent has been absolutely abysmal. Like 100 million for Anthony, Martinez hasn't been great. The wages spent on Casemiro. The first season I thought it was brilliant. This season been pants. I know he's injured now. And then someone mentioned like Gary Neville and Carragher were arguing about it, saying like it's the Glazers' fault. And Carragher said the club needs a philosophy. It doesn't matter who's in the team. You need to play a certain way. And then Neville was like, yeah, but with Martinez and whoever injured, the other players can't play like that. But that's why he built a philosophy. Like Man City did it when Guardiola came in. He wanted to play out from the back. Joe Hart wasn't quite good enough, or Guardiola didn't rate him enough, so he gets rid of him and they build. But they don't do it all in one season. They still have players that weren't probably capable of playing that way, but they've got them up to a standard where they're good enough to do that until they can replace them. I just think United are so far off it. Like, they're buying players that don't match how they want to play. And I just, like, they wanted to do like a pressing philosophy when Klopp and Guardiola started it, and it was when Ralph Rangnick was manager, and he said like he wanted to sign Luis Diaz, who's now at Liverpool, and Julian Alvarez, who's on his way to City at the time. Obviously, he's at City now and like looked like a hell of a player to start with. I just find it mad that instead they've got Anthony, who can do a few step overs and a Maradona turn, couldn't press his pants, never mind like someone's back line. I just like I don't know. It's just such a mess at the minute. I don't know how you would even go about fixing them. Like, McTominay has been the best player this season.
Yeah.
Like, Scott McTominay should not be Man United's best player. Like, as much as I love him playing for Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, I do like McTominay. I think he's a decent player and he works really hard. He's got a really high work rate. But he's one of them that, because he's not maybe like a fancy name, not a flair player, shall we say, that the United fans just won't really take to him. I don't think anyway. He's a player that could definitely play week in, week out for United and could flourish, I think, if he has better players around him. But I mean, that's going to happen with the standard of United's recruitment. It's that's the biggest problem for me. You know, we've talked about the importance of the philosophy. And it's like, you have no doubt that when Guardiola first came at City, he'll have like gone to every level, like the 23s, the 21s, under 18s, under 16s, even whatever, and said, "This is how the first team's going to play. So this is how everyone's playing." You know, and players will continue to come. Players have and will continue to come through City's academy in playing football the way he wants football to be played.
Yeah, you know? I think you look at like Liverpool, City, Arsenal, even would I go as far as say Spurs group? Probably not. I'm thinking like teams like Aston Villa under Emery, who also recruited very well. Brighton, obviously.
Yeah.
I can't name a bad side. Like, off the top of my head, I can't think of someone they've wasted money on. Do you know what I mean? Like, they all come into the team, fit the team well. At Liverpool, they signed Nunes, and who else did they sign last year? Cody Gakpo. And even if they don't hit it off straight away, you can see the qualities that they've got that could add to the team eventually. Where United have spent a lot of money, like Onana, how much they spent on him, he's not better than De Gea. Like, he doesn't do anything better than what De Gea did. And I don't see how he fits into whatever philosophy they want to play. Like, he can, like, people are like, his distribution, he can, like, showing him for Inter Milan where he's pinging balls out to the winger like 60 yards away. Yeah, but every time he gets a goal kick, he plays it short inside his box. So you're buying him for something that you don't want to do as a club. So yeah, it just doesn't make sense. But what do I know?
A side that have stood out for me so far this season is Aston Villa. I just mentioned there, like the standard of football they're playing. So the fluency and the consistency of some of the results they've picked up so far. It's incredible, really. Like the I think it was like the other week, might have been last week. It was like Emery's 1 year anniversary there, and the way he's turned it around after how stale, really, and I was supposed to say under Gerrard they were going nowhere, and now, you know, they're like knocking on the door of the top four.
I mean, we were talking about this in the group on like the PlayStation every day in the group chat. Like, what is the reason why a lot of top level players are struggling as managers, and a lot of managers that haven't necessarily played or played to a high standard are doing so well. And I genuinely think like players like Lampard, Gerrard, Rooney, they can't teach the basics because they've never like thought about doing the basics. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Like, I don't know how Gerrard can like.
It's kind of like that talented. It's almost like instinctive.
Yeah, like I don't know how like Rooney at Birmingham now.
Like the basics drilled into such a young age that like they just kind of expect that level.
Yeah,
I do think that must be part of it.
Because I see like Rooney at Birmingham now. I don't understand how he could get Birmingham strikers to one side and tell them how to finish or tell them how to strike a ball, because Rooney wouldn't even think about it. It's natural to him. So what is he like? What knowledge is he passing on to these players? Like when obviously Gerrard has gone on to LL Atifaki, whatever they're called. How is he teaching them players how to like slap a ball or switch play? Like he doesn't think about it. He just does it. So how is he? I don't know. But yeah, it's been an interesting season so far. Obviously Villa doing well, Spurs flying at top of the league, Man City, Liverpool carrying on, Arsenal still unbeaten.
I suppose like other than Bellingham, the biggest story on the continent is Ajax. I mean,
bottom of the
Ajax
league.
being in the relegation zone, that's unheard of, isn't it?
It's a dream scenario for footy manager players. They're like absolutely buzzing for next year's game to go down.
Oh yeah.
I mean that is a strange situation. I mean they've had the team wiped out, and like the team that got to the Champions League semi-final 4 years ago. That team's been completely wiped out, but they should be strong enough still. They should be producing enough players or reinvesting well enough so that bottom of the league doesn't happen ever to Ajax.
Yeah. So when I went to Amsterdam, I don't really know like the team too well. Like when I went to Amsterdam and did the tour last month, like went in the dressing room and like saw like the names and the shirts, and I'm like, there's not really like any names that I've like heard of anymore. You know, like I actually expect almost to have like at least a semi-star study lineup. There was like Bergwijn. I was like, that's kind of it. I don't really know
him. One last question on the Premier League before we go back to Rovers topics. Is the promoted 3 into the Premier League the worst promoted 3 of all time?
It's definitely up there, aren't they? If they're not, they're up there. The Sheffield United, all 3 Sheffield clubs. I think I saw on Twitter yesterday. They're all bottom. So like Sheffield United, Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield FC are all bottom of their respective leagues, and I think the two league clubs you can put an eye next to the name. To be honest, they're both doomed. There's not a lot more you can say, I don't think, about Sheffield United. They're in big trouble. They've let the best players go over the summer, and they've not reinvested. Burnley company is set on playing a certain way. We all know that, and it's costing them pretty much every week. They just can't cope with the press that Premier League teams are able to put on them, losing the ball and giving away cheap goals. Luton, to be expected. I think everyone was thinking when Luton went up, it's going to have to be a miracle for him to stay up. That's just as simple as that, really. But I said when they won at Everton the other week that they probably will go down but they won't embarrass themselves, which a lot of people are saying they would do. People talking about a Derby point record. I don't think we're gonna see anything like that. You know,
from Sheffield United, maybe.
I think Sheffield United are actually more, in danger of breaking that record.
I think out of the three, I think Luton are my strongest to put up a fight. I don't think they'll stay up, but I think they'll definitely put up a better fight than the other two. Sheffield United are just... I mean, you could make a case that Luton have been unlucky. There's been a couple of decisions, a couple of games they've lost by tight margins. Sheffield United just look miles off it. I mean, they put in a good performance against United, but I mean, United are pants at the minute as well, so does that really prove anything? So, right, back to Rovers anyway. Chelsea tomorrow night. Are you going massively changed team? Are you going a couple of changes? What's your thoughts?
I don't think they'll make too many changes, if any. To be honest, I mean, I've seen today that Pochettino is like naming a strong team. That's because he has to, really.
Yeah.
With the pressure that he's like going to be inevitably under because of the start of the season they've had. So I think JT will go for a strong team to kind of to match him, really. Well, match them the best we can, the money they've spent. But yeah, I think we'll see the strongest side we can possibly put out there with the injuries that we've got.
I mean, Travis is coming back in, we know that.
Yeah.
I think Garrett comes back in for Smodic. Leonard probably starts up front. I think Hill might have a rest and someone else go right back. Costello might be rested potentially. I fancy us tomorrow night, I really do. I think the confidence is low there. I think they'll massively underestimate us, and I just can see us getting something. I don't see whoever he plays centre back. It'll be Wharton and someone. He might play Hill centre back instead of playing him full back like he did in the Cardiff game.
I mean, the point about them possibly underestimating us, I can definitely see that happening. The games that they've played there in the cup against like lower league opposition so far, I think they have struggled to get going. I think when they played Wimbledon, they got 1-0 down against Wimbledon, I think.
Yeah.
So I think they could well underestimate. I'm not saying they're, I'm not saying they're going to be like shell shocked or anything.
Let us win.
Well, no, but definitely a possibility.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Right. I think that's pretty much us. First one back. Unless you have anything else to add before we go.
We've got Norwich on Sunday, haven't we? That's a terrible kick-off time.
Yeah, 12 o'clock kick-off on a Sunday. I mean, we looked at the trains at the time, didn't we, and said, I think the earliest one gets in at 1:15 from Blackburn. I think even from you, I think it gets in later than kick-off, doesn't it? At 12:30.
Yeah, I did look, and I'm pretty sure it's bloody rail replacement bus as well. So,
I mean,
shambles.
We'll have to speak about it probably next week when we talk about like the new Sky TV deal for 2025. Is it? Where like any game that's not at 3 o'clock on a Saturday will be televised, won't it? So we'll go into a bit more depth on that, because at this point now, I'm just in massive favour of scrapping the 3 p.m. blackout deal and just just let everyone play at 3 o'clock, because it's getting ridiculous now.
I think the proposal from DAZN when it was brought to light a few months back, it should have been taken a lot more. There was people too eager to just think, oh no, we've got to protect the blackout, to protect attendances from football, and people just watching it at home. But you've got to think about how will every game that's not 3 p.m. being televised affect attendances. Attendances are going to plummet through that. So because it's just not convenient at all for anyone.
Yeah. I mean, they're picking games purposely now, I feel, so that attendances are affected. I know Sky always say they try and pick the midweek games. Ever since it's come on Sky Red Button, the midweek games are always stupid travelling distances. You never get a local game on a Tuesday night. It's always someone down south like QPR or Millwall. And they say that that's because most people don't travel that far anyway, so it's better to give them the offer. I think it benefits Sky having the longer games on TV times, because the more people that can't go, it's not accessible for them to go, the more people sit at home and watch it, or sit in the home and watch it on their channels. So I think they pick and choose games to make it even harder. I mean, the Norwich at dinner time is just... There's no excuse for that. And we're probably the only country where our fans accept it. That happened in Germany, there'd be riots. We just seem to accept being... As match-going fans, we just seem to accept being shit on, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is the first episode back done. It's late now. I feel like we're both getting tired. We'll hopefully be back next week after the Norwich game on Sunday. It's good to be back, finally. There'll be more videos coming up. Hopefully getting the Guide Villa highlights put on YouTube. If anyone wants to watch a lot of fat lads try and kick a ball for 90 minutes. And yeah, I think that's us done.
Thanks, so.
See you all next week.
Fingers crossed for a famous win tomorrow night.
Another famous London Cup win.
Yeah.
See you in a bit.
See you later.